Hi and welcome to What's Not to Like, and today we're looking at Darien Apocalypse, which is the next Ragnar Brothers game which will be kickstarting at the end of May through to June and hopefully producing within 2017. So I'm only going to give myself 5 minutes literally to just explain as much as I can about this game. It's very exciting from a design point of view. I've loved designing it because it's so different in many ways, and that's what I'm trying to get across to you today. So let's look at some of the features rather than going into real detail. First of all, it's a quantum game. That means we've got more than one world, 4 worlds working together, and the theme of the game in this case is the Darien Apocalypse. The Darien colony was the Scots nation tried to build up a trading colony in Panama which would rival the English trading colonies around the world to make Scotland a great nation. It totally failed. It's a complete disaster. So what the quantum game allows you to do is have one of the worlds might end up as a completely disastrous world, but the other worlds may be successful. Hopefully all worlds will be successful as the game progresses. So it's a really good marrying up of the quantum idea with this a very unusual theme. It's never been done before as far as I know, of the Darien colony. So that's an important element of the game. Another important novelty of the game is that it's solo game, 2-player, 3-player and 4-player. And I've learned in the last few games of design that designing a game with that in mind is really important. I think the idea of bolting on solo rules at the end of a game is to lose some of the impact that those solo rules can make in helping you design. It just gives you a real new angle on the design if you sort of put solo rules just as important as the multiplayer rules. And that's an important feature of the game. It works terrifically well as a solo game, 2, 3 and 4 players. It's also, because of the nature of that theme, it was irresistible to make it into a cooperative game, because clearly the colonies that went out, that was founded, the people who went out there, the Scots people who founded that, they went out to try and make something happen together. They didn't go out in competition with each other. So you can play this game as cooperative, and it works really well as a cooperative game. In fact, I'd recommend you learn it first of all as a cooperative game, because it's really hard to win this game against the horsemen. These are the horsemen. I've just knocked one over, and they score on the track against your own score through the game. And if the horseman's score is greater than your score, you've lost the game. Whether it's the cooperative game or in the competitive games, that still holds true. The rules are very closely tied together. So learning it as a cooperative game, it works really well. So I've just introduced another element there I haven't explained. So thematically, you're not only doing this colony in a quantum setting, but we've brought in this fantasy element, if you like, of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And they represent the chaos that comes to these worlds because of the hardship that the people suffered historically there. So you've got death, war, famine and pestilence. And each of those horsemen has an effect on what you can do in each of those worlds. But moreover, when a horseman is placed in one of these worlds, as here, that world is in chaos. So you can't actually play in these 2 worlds at the moment. They're both in chaos. You're only playing on 2 worlds there. Well, it brings me very quickly to this action board here. So this action board is what you can do in a turn. And if you have only 2 worlds that are active and not in chaos, then you get 6 actions to use on the action board. If there are 3 worlds active, you get just 5 actions. But if there's only 1 world active, you get 7 actions. So there's a nice variance there in the way the game plays. Each player in the game sits opposite one of those 4 worlds. It feels quite natural that. In fact, it's one of the ways we designed it was that people thought, oh, is this my world? Well, initially it wasn't, but we kind of realised that was important for people to have a bit more sense of this belonging to them. So during this game, you're going to try and explore all the hexes in that world, otherwise they'll count against you at the end of the game as against victory points. And you're also trying to build in your own world. The only place you build it is the governor's house. So that goes in the world, and it's worth 5 points if you build it. But moreover, it's one of the 8 guardian buildings. And the guardian buildings, you can see there, it's got a horseman on it. This is the war horseman. These guardian buildings enable you to push back the horsemen on the track there when you successfully remove them from the game. to remove them from the game. You don't remove them permanently, but just their temporary presence. You do that by praying. That's one of the actions. So that's a series of dice rolls. It's quite fun to roll some dice. You can affect those dice rolls by adding silver to them. And if you successfully get rid of the horseman, you win shares. My goodness, I'm telling you lots and lots of elements of the game. But the shares are what help you then. They're victory points at the end of the game. But they also, if you use the shares, you can enhance the buildings you're building. These are the enhancement tokens. They sit underneath the buildings. The buildings are what get you the victory points at the end of the game, and also generate you the goods that you get in the trade action. And so the goods come back to Scotland. You, in company business, you sell those goods. You then buy more settlers and more Scotsmen to come out there into the colonies, and you can also buy more shares. So the whole game kind of spirals back on itself all the time. As in, anyone who's played in England Pinter will recognise some of this. They're moving in and out. These ships, they're coming from Scotland to the Caribbean. So you trade there and you come back. There's that element in it. Your settlers are moving across these lands and exploring. Your buildings are going on here. Each of these lands has got a resource on there, stone or wood. That's how you build the buildings. It's a very tightly knit series of mechanics in there. But, and this is where I'm particularly pleased with it, each of those mechanics is relatively simple. So we've played this game with people who don't play games at all, or very, very rarely play games, and they've really enjoyed it. And one reason they've really enjoyed it, and I think this will be the last point to make, in about 5 minutes must be it by now, is that when the lead player, the governor, the first player, the governor who's running the show at the particular time, when they choose an action, you go round the table and each other player can play an action, the same action onto their action board. They don't actually have quite as many actions as the lead player, but they can copy the action. And so you get a real sense of everybody working together. It's like a team thing. You're following each other's pattern. And so for non-gamers or people who are not familiar with games, they get drawn into the game very, very well. As you can imagine, it's been a terrifically exciting game to design. There's so many bits to it, so many different things to what we normally do with Ragnar Brothers games, to be honest. And we're really looking forward to getting it out there. We will have to try and tell you more about it, tell you the full rules, but I wanted to give you a flavour of it today. From a design point of view, fascinating to do. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for watching What's Not to Like. See you next time.